70 degrees. No thermostat. That's just running wide open. No additional fan to help cool it off either. We're going to test for exhaust gases in the radiator. It's not foaming up like it was last time. Straight water. Blue. Actually, I want this to turn yellow. That would tell me that the head gasket leak. I feel a lot better about the contamination if I knew that the head gasket actually failed. And it's getting a little green there. Let's do it some more. Not bad. Yeah, there you go. Turning yellow. Definitely exhaust gases in there. That's actually, I mean, like I said, I'm actually happy to see that. It gives me a chance that maybe it's the head gasket that was causing the problem before and not a cracked block or a destroyed head. That's definitely got exhaust gas in there. That's conclusive proof. Compare that color to that. That's good. Here's a little trick for you. I don't know if anybody else knows this or not, but watch this. So over here, we can pull fresh air through it. Oh, never mind. Okay, well, you can actually pull fresh air through it and change it back to blue. Assuming you don't, the whole thing doesn't go apart on you. Let's look for that foam again. It's like a prettiest looking water, but it is water. No foam. Now remember, the foam came up when I goosed it a little bit. So let's get in a better position. See if we can get any foam to show up. Let's goose it a few times. Foam. I'm feeling a lot better about it. I don't really see, I mean, it's dirty, but I don't see any oil machine. I don't taste anything. I don't see anything on my hand that doesn't feel oily at all. So maybe we're lucky on that. Maybe it's just a head gasket leak. That's what I hope for. Anyway, that's all for today's test. More layer, I mean, obviously, I'll turn this off. Okay, let's get this on camera now. Hold on. Stand by. So, let's talk about this situation a little bit. Try to get myself on camera here. My dad likes to see me, so I'm going to do this for him. Oops. Hang on, Big Daddy. There you go. Hey, Big Daddy. Okay, so here's the deal. Let me tell you where we are. All right. No brown foam this time. That's good. That's a good thing. You saw me do the flush on the prior video. Got all as much clean out as possible. I'm running straight water. I'm going to drain all the water out, obviously now, and pull the head and check out the head gasket. It's clearly got exhaust gases getting into the radiator, into the cooling system. Hopefully, I will find a deteriorated head gasket that allows those gases to pass by the combustion chamber and get into it. It's still, it could still be, in worst case scenario, you could still have a crack in the head or the block. I don't know about the block so much. I guess the block too. That would be allowing gases to get into the coolant system. But we're going to keep our fingers crossed that it's really coming from just a bad head gasket. If that's the case, it's a relatively simple thing. Make sure the head's flat. Hopefully it's not warped. New head gasket. We'll give it another try. I feel a lot better about it now, though, after doing this. I don't know why I had so much foam in it before. Maybe there's some leftover junk in the crankcase. Maybe somebody had put oil in there at some point. I don't know. But I didn't see any evidence of oil. I don't see an oily sheen on top of the water. I see dirt still. It's still a little bit yucky looking. Let's take one more quick look at it. Where do I put the flashlight? Well, yeah, there's a little bit of crap here, but not like the oily the stuff I was seeing yesterday. So we're feeling pretty good about. Oh, here's the light. Duh. Okay, so a little bit of crud in there, mixed in there. Again, could be the head gasket could be letting a little bit of oil, a little bit of gas. a little bit of exhaust gases in. Whatever. It's not nearly as bad as it was after I did the flush, so I feel a lot better about that. So let it all cool down, drain it all out. I'll have to basically pull it apart as a bare minimum. I might even take a look at the front cover. If I'm going that far, I might as well make sure there's a good seal, because the front cover is where the water exchanges from the water pump into the cylinder and back. If that's compromised in any way, I suppose it's possible you get a little oil in there, but I doubt it. It'd be more likely you'd get oil in the water, which I haven't seen any in the crankcase. So I'll probably leave that. When I do things like this, diagnosis, especially something that's like this, it's always best to do one variable at a time. You don't want to change a whole bunch of stuff. Because if you're not sure what's wrong, if you make 3 changes, well, you don't really know what was wrong. I like to do one thing at a time, better or worse, better or worse, better or worse. So that's my way of doing it anyway. So I'll probably leave the front cover alone. You can take the head off, leave the front cover on. That's not a problem. And just go from there. To give you a good chance to examine the head, one of the things that I was concerned about was the impeller, the compressor wheel on the turbo on this particular engine was pretty well trashed. I mean, missing chunks. Foreign object damage, FOD, could have gotten into the intake from the destroyed compressor wheel and done God knows what to the head. I don't know. You can't well know until I pull the head off, take a look. Hopefully it's not damaged, not severely anyway. But that'll be another thing to look out for, FOD damage to the head from the compressor wheel. Let's see what else. Just examine the valve. I don't think there's any damage to the valves or valve seats or anything like that, because the leak down test was so good. All the cylinders but one had like less than 5% leak down, which is phenomenal, really. And in one only had like about 8% leak down, which is still really good. So I'm not too worried about I have a pretty good idea the valve sealing surfaces are okay. And the one that wasn't sealing may very well have been the one valve that's left open. When you set an engine down shut it down for a long period of time, always one valve will be partially open. It's just the way the camshaft works on a 6-cylinder. So that one slightly open valve could have had some corrosion form around the valve seat. Maybe number 6 was the one that had a slightly higher leak down, and I think it was coming out of the exhaust, if I remember correctly. It's very likely that the exhaust valve might have been left a little open. I haven't checked it for leak down again since then. A lot of times, if you run it a while, the corrosion will kind of break down from the hammering of the valves and such, so it's probably okay now anyway. But I do want to examine the head for FOD damage from the blown compressor impeller. And I also obviously have to do a very close inspection of that cylinder head gasket. You don't just take it off and chuck it in the garbage can. You take the head off and you look at it real close. And I've got different cylinder head gaskets I can use. I got the Velcro, which is what they sell. I also have some old gaskets I purchased a while ago. They look, they're old school, you know, like they're like OE looking stuff. Almost look like they have asbestos in them. I don't know, but they're very, very non-Velcro looking. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Maybe the Velcro works better. It certainly had interesting looking oil seals around the little O-rings around the oil seals, which is kind of encouraging to me. Oh, the last thing I'll be able to do is I really wanted to examine the head to see if there's any corrosion around those transfer ports I was talking about. You know, the head has holes for both oil to go through and coolant to go through. And if you don't maintain the coolant, i.e. use fresh coolant, the aluminum will begin to corrode. If you just leave, you know, dead coolant or straight water, the aluminum will corrode and those holes will open up like that. And eventually they'll open up so much that they'll no longer seal. In other words, they're too big for the holes in the head gasket. They could actually leak into other passages. That's the worst case scenario. If that happens, depending on how bad it is, I guess you could get the head shaved a little bit and maybe cut out some of the bad part if it's not too deeply pitted. In other words, it's sort of like a cone, you know, the damage at the top and it comes down. So you could probably machine the head a little bit. I don't know if it's possible to like TIG that up and then, you know, then shave it if it's really bad. I don't know, I'll take it to a head shop and see. I don't really want to do all that because I don't want to put any more money in this engine until I know kind of like the status of it. I don't really need the engine for any particular application right now. It's just more a learning experience. So again, I'm not going to throw tons of money at this thing. If it gets to the point where it looks like it's going to be really expensive to get it running, I'll just shelve it and, you know, have it for spare parts. I could even put the other head on. I could I have a spare head. I could swap out the head, put this turbo cam on it, and run it like that, I suppose. I wouldn't want to swap the head complete because the head I'd be pulling would be like a head for a normally aspirated engine, and the valve and the lobes are all different on the cams. You know, there's different how long they stay open for forced induction systems. So I'd probably want to swap out the cam and the rockers because the rockers are already kind of worn through the cam. Swap out the cam and the rockers out of this head into a backup head if the head is the problem, i.e. the corrosion I was talking about before. If the block's cracked, I could just take this head, and if the head's okay, I could take this okay head and swap it to a spare block, the one I had right over here. I could pull that head off, put it on that block. I mean, that would work too, because I know that block's good because I don't have these problems with it. So hopefully, between the two of these engines, I'll be able to get something going. I don't really want to, I kind of didn't want to mess with that engine though, because that's got that MN47 cylinder head, which is a higher compression, smaller squish area, supposedly better head for both economy and power. It came off an 83 Maxima, I think it was, 84 Maxima. That's why it's an MN47 head. And I really like the way it runs. It has great compression and it has really high vacuum. So for a normally aspirated engine, I think that would be ideal. So I'm kind of hesitant to start tearing that one apart and trying to make a turbo. I'd probably more likely just keep that and use that and just scrap the turbo and maybe part it out, or, you know, I don't know, figure out something to do with it. The other option would be just take the turbo manifold, the exhaust manifold off of this, slap it on that, and turbocharge that MN47. Just forget, don't even worry about the cams or anything. Just run it turbocharged and see how that runs. And that's always a real easy thing to do. I mean, you could just swap out the exhaust manifold with the turbo on it, put the charge pipe up, and go. So I don't know. That would probably be the easiest, simplest thing to do. But you know, for me, this, like I said, it's a learning experience. The whole point of this whole exercise to me was to play with a turbo engine. Never done that. I thought it'd be fun. I hope you're enjoying this series. I'll keep it going as I develop and as things go along. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.